I'm Joe Tucker, President of the International Academy of Trial Lawyers, and welcome to the Academy's official podcast, The Rule of Law, The Academy Speaks. Today, I have a person who I am in love with. We're the Mutual Admiration Society. She's from Dallas, Texas. When I could finally get through her accent, I could understand what she was saying.
I sound like a hillbilly. I know that, Joe.
No, you don't, Charla.
Get over it.
This is Charla Aldis from Dallas, Texas, of the Aldis Law Firm. Charla, by whatever measure you measure lawyers, you are one of the greatest trial lawyers in America. The results show it, the verdicts show it, your clients show it, and you are just a giant amongst giants, and I'm happy to call you my close, dear personal friend. I love our relationship. I love that you're in the Academy. I love that I've got to know you better. But today, I'm not going to talk to you about your massive verdicts, your fight for civil justice and for monetary damage. I want to talk a little bit about your pro bono work. And before I get there, why don't you tell us just a little bit about yourself, Charla?
Well, I was born a child of a Pentecostal preacher.
Okay.
In Sherman, Texas, and education was not top of the list on anything. And it was not an easy childhood, but I went to, I remember like yesterday, Joe, I had a vocational office education meeting my junior year in high school, because I went to school until noon, and then I worked. And so I had a vocational office education meeting. And this lawyer from Denison, Texas, the twin city of Sherman, came in and talked about law. And I said, I'm going to be the best legal assistant or legal secretary in the world. I kid you not. And so
that is unbelievable thinking, knowing where you are right now. But go ahead.
It's the truth. I'm like, I'm going to be the best in the world, which there's no demeaning legal secretaries.
I understand.
But anyway, I went to Grayson County Junior College. We called it Harvard on the Hill. And I took vocational classes, but I took one class that was a major class. It was history. And I had a professor there that said, Charla, you need to think about going to maybe a 4-year college. I'm like, really? He said, yeah. And he said, you need to get involved in the curriculum that will get you an associate's degree, because I think you really have a gift to do that. I did it, Joe, and it was the most amazing thing in my life.
Did your parents have degrees?
No, my father did not graduate from high school. My mother had an 8th grade education.
So you graduating from high school was an achievement.
It really was.
Yeah.
I know, and that's crazy for people to understand, but it really was. And then when I was in high school, I worked half a day. So I went to Grayson County Junior College, and that professor changed the trajectory of my life, because he said, you need to get a 4-year education. So he said, what did you make on the ACT or the SAT? I said, well, I haven't taken it.
And you said, what is that?
What is that? What is that? I know that sounds crazy, but from where I came from, that was foreign. So I took the ACT, and then I got into this wonderful college, Austin College, in my hometown of Sherman, Texas, and thank God I met a professor named Dr. Kenneth Street. I don't think I've ever told you this, Joe.
No, you haven't, Dr. Kenneth Street.
Okay, he was a constitutional law professor. I took his class. I can't tell you how I felt.
And this is an undergraduate school?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was my junior year of college, which I wasn't supposed to be. I was supposed to be done after 2 years of associate college. I loved it. It was constitutional law, and I just loved it. And Dr. Street took me on kind of as a project, I think. And he said, Charlie, you love the law. And I said, yeah, I really, really do. This is wonderful. I love the way you can protect people, the way you can advocate for good. And he said, you know what? You were meant to be a lawyer.
How prophetic was he?
And I
can't.
said to Dr. Street, a lawyer? I've never even known a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm about to cry talking about it.
Okay.
But he said to me, you are going to law school, Charla.
Kevin, we may need some tissue up here when we get finished this with me and Charla talking.
Yeah, wait, but Joe, I'm telling you. And then he said that. He said, you are going to law school. I said, do you really think I can? And he goes, I know you can. So I applied to law school, and I got in, and Dr. Street died like 10 years ago. But, I mean, we stayed in contact, and he was so proud of me. He was so proud of the accomplishments I made. And I'm going to tell you, but for him, I would have never gotten to where I am today.
Well, just think, one person made a difference in your life, and how many lives you've made a difference, and the multiplication of a single person with a single act doing something can transform so many things.
And you know, let me tell you this, Joe. That has been my goal in my law practice. I know what Dr. Street did for me, and my goal is, if I can, one case at a time, change the trajectory of somebody's life.
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because you are a civil litigator. Don't want to get into your resume of verdicts and victories.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care about that.
You handled what you consider to be a controversial case dealing with transgender care. Can you talk to me a little bit about that case?
I would love to talk to you about that. I mean, I have a small firm. It's me and my daughter and one other lawyer. But I have
Let's give Eleanor a shout out.
Eleanor Aldis,
Yes.
my baby girl. But I am committed to, at every point in my career, to have some pro bono case that I do. Because I think I make more than I should on other cases, and I have a duty, a moral duty to give back. So I can tell you about the transgender case. It happened like 2-3 years ago. I can't remember the exact date. I got a call from a professor at UT Southwestern. She was distraught. Her name is Dr. Jimena Lopez. I can tell you her name because she has published her name. And she said, Charla, can you help me? And I'm like, what do you want me to help you with? And she said, I just got an edict from my superiors that I have to close my clinic, and I can't treat my patients.
But what type of clinic was she?
It was a transgender, it was Genesis Healthcare. It was the only clinic for transgender youth in the Southwest. And I gotta tell you, Joe, I had no idea about transgender. I really didn't. I was ignorant. But my goal when I talked to her is I want to help people. And what she told me is, she said, I have these patients, and right now I can't treat them as of today. Our governor had called the school and said, we're going to cut off funding if you don't shut down this clinic.
And this was Governor Abbott.
It was, and I'm putting myself out there again because I've sued him many times. But she was desperate for these children, and I knew nothing about transgender youth until I got involved with Dr. Lopez. I met with these families, Joe. These families, like one family I met with, he was a Mormon bishop, and you know what he told me?
As in LDS?
Yes. You know what he told me?
What's that?
He said, I denied, I condemned my child until 3 episodes of suicide. And I finally decided I would rather my child to be alive and be transgender than be dead. I met with so many of those families, Joe, and it touched my heart. So what we did is we could not sue the medical school because of tort reasons, sovereign immunity. But what we did, we were really creative in this.
Well, how much money were you looking for in this case?
Are you kidding me? I did this pro bono.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about.
We hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal time. I don't care about that. Here's what we did. It was really genius. I don't mean that bragging.
Yeah.
But what we did is we brought an injunction, a temporary restraining order against the hospital, Children's Medical Center, where our doctor was treating these patients. And we said they have denied her the privileges she was granted without due process. Do you understand?
I understand.
Because we couldn't sue the medical school because it's a Texas branch and they have sovereign immunity. And we brought a temporary restraining order saying you cannot restrict her privileges from treating these children.
And we've been talking a lot about due process lately here in America.
And so we got an agreed injunction for, I think it was for 18 months. But what was amazing is during that time, these children still got care, and my client was able to transfer them to other states where they could get the care they needed before the legislature, our Texas legislature, passed a law that, banned transgender care. But I want to say this. It's so important to me to say this. I knew nothing about transgender people. They are marginalized. They're trying to live their authentic life. And for our society to further marginalize them and condemn them for that, I'm ashamed that that's society we live in. And Joe, I didn't know anything about it.
Well, you have, and I've talked about this a couple of times on the podcast, lawyers like you have the big C, courage. It takes courage to do things like that, where you will risk your reputation, emails, telephone calls from people who are going after you just because you are trying to uphold the rule of law and trying to have people have their constitutional rights.
I can't tell you the amount of hate mail I got. And hate mail personally to my house and to my office and emails. And I thought about all of that, but you know what? You gotta do what's right, regardless of the consequences. You gotta do the right thing for the right reasons, and you know what? Everything else will come out in the wash. And here's the thing, Joe, that I have always thought is, I have a law license. I believe it's a license to help others. I really do.
That is powerful. And I wish every lawyer who is listening and everyone that knows a lawyer who is listening understands that, because sometimes we lawyers, and sometimes deservedly so, get a bad reputation. When you see the billboard signs and you see, no fee unless recovery, you begin to think about that as who lawyers are, as opposed to what people like you are doing and the way you are fighting for justice. And that's what we lawyers do, and that's why I'm glad you have your license.
I really see my law license as a license to help others. I have great cases and I make more money than I should on many cases, but I never, ever, ever want to get to the point where I don't realize what a gift I have. It's a gift.
Yes.
It's a gift.
Well,
I'm a lawyer.
Yes, let's
Do
talk
you know
about
I'm
that.
a lawyer, Joe?
Yeah, this is what I do know. You and I, as I started off by saying, we're part of the Mutual Admiration Society.
No,
And we argue about who loves each other more
I
than
got
the
to
other.
tell you this. Sometimes I think I'm Charla and I'm a lawyer.
Yes,
I
you
really
are.
am. I'm a lawyer.
Well, let's talk about the use of your legal powers. I want to talk about a sexual assault survivor case that you had. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh my God, that's those cases are dear to my heart. I've taken many sexual assault survivor cases, but I wanted to talk to you about one specifically, and I can say her name because we did an interview with the Dallas Morning News. Her name is Isabella Fletcher. Izzy, my little Izzy girl. And I got to tell you this first. She was so damaged by the sexual assault that she was just had a hard surface on her. But I called her my little porcupine. I'm like, if you get through the quills and get down, you've got such a sweetheart. After her case was settled, she got me a crystal porcupine, and I have it in my office. So anyway, Isabella Fletcher was just the most wonderful young woman. She went to a party at Hebron High School. It was a football party. And a young man there, the football player, drugged her, no question. And she was raped. And it was horrific. He was from a very prominent family that had tons of money.
Some of us are familiar with this case because it was in the press.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was all over the news media. And when Isabella and her parents came to me, I thought, we're never going to get any money from this kid because he had trust funds and, all this stuff structured. But I'm like, I could not live with myself if I didn't take this case. So we took the case. He had escaped criminal indictment because of political contacts. But it was in Denton County, which is a very, very conservative county in Texas. I just love when I think about this case. We tried it, and I got to cross-examine that little piece of dirt. And
You can call him a piece of shit too.
he is a piece of shit. And his mother, imagine this, they brought their prayer group every day to court to try to demonize me, right? Oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, get over that. I'll pray for you next week. Anyway, Joe, the jury came back. When I think about this, I feel so much joy. Izzy, she had not shown much emotion through all this. She had been so destroyed. And the jury came back and they found him guilty of sexual assault. And they awarded, I can't remember, it was a lot of money. It was like maybe $20 million or something, but that wasn't the significant part.
Because you knew you'd never collect the money, right?
Of course. But the jury, after they came back, they said, they were in the jury room, and they said, we want Isabella and Charlotte to come back in the jury room. We walked into that jury room, and they all stood up, Joe, and applauded her. And she cried. And you know what she said? You believed me. And they said, yes, we believed you, and we admire you for standing up for what was right.
Your courage gave her courage.
I remember that like it was yesterday. That child sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. She released all of the emotion, all of the anger, because those people believed her. They hugged her. We stayed in there for like 45 minutes. And you know what? I firmly believe it changed the trajectory of Isabella Fletcher's life.
How is Izzy doing nowadays?
She's doing great. She's married. She has a baby. I've got so many stories I could tell you. Can I tell you one other?
We have nothing but time to talk to you.
How much?
We got as much time as you want. Don't look at that silly clock.
Okay, I had a sexual assault case against the fanciest school in Dallas. Like big time, Dallas Episcopal School. All the rich kids went there. My client was sexually abused by her teacher. And then they were caught by cops, that doesn't matter. And when the school found out about it, they told, they brought her dad in. Well, she and her mother were at a college visit and said, we want you to know, we've let the teacher resign, but your daughter has to resign or we will expel her, and there's no door number 3. This was put in a memo.
They were going to expel her.
My child, who was sexually abused by a teacher, they said there's no door number 3, and the idiots put it in an email.
For being the victim
of sexual assault.
Of a teacher sexually assaulting her.
Yes.
I just had to say it out loud
Yeah.
for it
So
to be as nonsensical as it
This is
sounded.
the most wonderful story you will ever hear, and it's something that I hold so dear to my heart. So that child came to me. She was suicidal. I mean, I was literally trying to keep her alive. We tried that case, and I usually am not afraid in trial, Joe. I'm really not.
I can't see you being afraid of anything.
I was afraid in trial. You know why?
Why is that?
Her teacher betrayed her. Her school betrayed her. I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen if this jury betrays her? That was the weight I took with me to that trial. But I just had to have faith that the jury would do the right thing. One funny thing of this, we had an all-female jury.
Okay.
And we had 3 African-Americans, women on the jury. And after that jury was picked, they brought in our African-American senator, whom I love, a Democrat. And I said, I'm just glad that there's somebody that's a Democrat that's going to make some money off these sons of bitches. Welcome to the party. So we were trying the case, Joe. True story. All-female jury. And he stands up. I love him. And he stood up and he says, Miss Auld, Your Honor, I would ask Miss Auld to use her inside voice. And I said, well, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I have 4 kids, so my outside voice just comes naturally to me. He said, well, I have 7 children. And I said, well, I birthed my babies. And I said,
that was a mic drop.
I said, he clipped the cord. Boop, boop, boop. Snip, 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 pin a red rose on him. So it's been so funny. Every time I see him since then, I say, snip, 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 pin a red rose on you. Anyway, long story short, that case, my good friend from high school tried it with me, and they called us. They were doing a blog on it every day, Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise come out to the courthouse because they had to pipe in into another courtroom because so many people were there. It looked like the Botox convention of Dallas because all these highfalutin moms from this private school with their Louboutin shoes were looking at me like, ooh, they hate me. And guess what? I was like, I don't want to go to your country club. So anyway, what happened, JoJo Tucker, is we won the case. We won I can't remember, it was like 15 million or something. And we won gross negligence, and we got something else out of that. And what I had said to the school the whole time, they tried to negotiate settlement. And I'm like, what you've got to understand, to settle this case, the 3 people who made the decision to do this to this child have to be gone. And one was the founder of the school. The other was the head of the school. The other was the head of the upper school. And I'm like, you people do not need to be in control of children's lives. And after we won it, they were all gone.
Give me some.
But wait, let me tell you the coolest thing.
What's that? It gets better?
Yes! My little girl, I was at her graduation from law school, William and Mary Law School.
In Virginia, yeah.
And I read the scripture at her wedding.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I literally, Joe, I was at the, I was there and I saw her in her white dress and she married her college sweetheart.
This is so great, Charla.
No, I mean it. And I'm like, but okay, I've got a better story after that.
Okay. Now you're not going to start crying on me, are you?
I may.
Okay, all right.
She now is a women's trial advocate practicing with my dear friend Mike Kelly. in San Francisco.
Mike Kelly, who I know, Mike Kelly.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my baby girl.
Get out of here. This is so great.
And you know what's so cool? She will she'll text me and said, I'm going into mediation and I'm channeling my inner Charla angel.
You are an angel. Charla, there is a certain passion that you have with these cases. Where does that passion come from?
Whew, that's a hard one. It comes from pain. Mm-hmm. My passion comes from
your pain or your client's pain?
my personal pain.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that?
You know, I didn't know if I did, but I think I will. Yeah, I come from a tough childhood. I was sexually abused by my father. I can't believe I'm talking to you about this, but from the time I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something about that, Joe, that I have been able to channel into helping others. There's something from that pain that I believe I can champion other people. Because I know what it feels like to have pain.
Mm-hmm.
And especially my sexual assault clients. I mean, I get it. I get where they are. I get where they come from. I can't believe I just exposed that on a
podcast with me.
Podcast, but
That's what you get for having me as your brother.
but you know what? You know how I feel
Yeah.
right now?
How do you feel?
If my story can empower others, that's what I want. That's what I want. So any of you out there, and let me tell you.
You tell them. Don't tell me. You tell them.
Where do I speak to?
Just speak on out there.
What I'm saying, 1 of 4 women have been sexually assaulted in some way in their life. 1 in 4. You think about that. Guess what? You have a voice. You have a right to stand up for yourself. I'll represent you. Call me. I believe in that. And if my story can empower other women to have the courage to understand you can overcome sexual assault.
What I love about you, and thank you for sharing that story, just thank you so very much. And I know that was not part of what we were going to do.
It wasn't.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing that story. But what I gleaned from you talking, 1, about yourself and the example that you set, but 2, the clients that you represent, is not allowing this tragedy to define all of your life.
I never, ever want to lose that personal connection and that compassion for my clients.
This is what I'm going to do. I usually ask people at the end of the episode, what gives you hope? I don't have to ask that because your existence gives hope to people.
You're gonna make
to
me
everyone
cry.
who's listening, to people like me who know you intimately. So I don't have to say what gives you hope in America, what gives you hope in the world. Charla gives us hope. And you are, I mean, Charla, you know how close we are. You are just such an example of what the law can do and how the law can advance people's rights and being consistent with the rule of law and just the person you are. I just love who you are. I love that you are unbridled by traditional confines and you speak your voice in that lovely, lovely Southwest Texas accent.
My kids said I sound like a hillbilly.
Because you do.
And you know what I tell them? This
What's that?
hillbilly educated you, so get over it.
Yes, you did.
No, thank you, Joe. I mean, I'm so lucky to be a lawyer
Yeah.
and to help people.
I hate that we have to end this, and all I'm going to say is thank you for listening to The Rule of Law, The Academy Speaks. I'm Joe Tucker, president of the Academy, and one of the best things that I get about being president of the Academy, I get to know people like Charla. Thank you.